So just a little information for indoor soccer. Going in. A little more information. So we still have trainings tomorrow night downstairs in the MAC gym. You'll go down there and then you'll work your way back up here as the night progresses. One is to show you a little bit of what the courts look like for us as officials, as well as to get you acclimated with a few things down there. Practice games will be right after spring break on March 18th on that Monday. If that does change, we'll send out an email during spring break and let you know, or early Monday morning. But you'll pick your times that you'll work. Right now, I think it's actually going to be 5:30 to 8, and then 7:30 to 11:30, or 7 to 11:30, somewhere in there. So you actually get to pick your times, and you have to go down and do that on that Monday night in order for us to shadow you and you to work. How many people still need to get on payroll? A lot of you. All right, so I'm going to challenge you. A lot of you are probably going home for spring break and getting the documents that I asked you to get to have your parents send here. We can't do anything until you get on payroll. So if you filled out the information with me, you need to get with Susan. If you haven't done anything with me or Danny, you need to send me an email and you need to get in my office this week so we can get you started. Because I can't do anything until you're on payroll. And if you don't do anything Monday night or Monday, meaning you don't get on payroll by Monday the 18th, I can't work you the rest of the week. So it already takes a week of the season out for you. So if you need to get on payroll, please make sure you do that. So as I said, my name's Andy Ramp. I'm one of the coordinators of competitive sports. Danny Turner will take you through tomorrow night. He's actually out at 4-on-4 flag right now. Ryan Himes is on a cruise vacation because he thought this was our spring break week, which he was wrong. He's our graduate assistant with our two program assistants, Jonathan and Dylan. One's working basketball, the other one's working flag football. So it's kind of an all hands on deck for us tonight. So and I'm walking you through indoor soccer training. I throw up some of the leadership people up here, so if you happen to see them, you know who they are. Put a good word in for me, maybe I'll get some more money to work here. But our director is Tim McNeely, our associate director is David Parker, and you'll see Zach Gilbert more than these two guys because he's our assistant director and he's out there probably once a week. So you'll see him throughout with this. Here are some of our expectations. We want you to be on time. I always say early is on time, on time is late, late is fired. I'm in the process of letting go of somebody that currently works for me because he didn't show up for his shifts. So just keep that in mind. It takes a lot to get fired from this job. Don't act like, oh, you're late once, you're fired. No, it's a multitude of things. He's been late and no-showed about 5 times. So you do that over the course of 3 weeks, you're not going to have a job with me. Be an appropriate attire with the necessary equipment. Our appropriate attire, and I'll go over this a little bit later, is black shorts and a white, black, or beige or gray t-shirt, or long sleeves if you so choose to do that, with athletic shoes. Because all you'll be doing is running up and down the court. I'll give you your whistle. That means you got to bring it every time you come. And I give you stripes, or yellows in this case, for indoor soccer. Other than that, that's all you need. I'll provide the cards, and then you should be good from there. Know the rules. Our indoor soccer mimics outdoor soccer with a few modifications. And they pertain to the wall, they pertain to the ceiling, and they pertain to what you can and cannot slide. And you would think, well, you shouldn't be able to slide on hardwood. False. We've had that, and I'll show that in a lot of videos. Work as a team on and off the field. This is actually stolen from outdoor soccer, so it's on the court. So if somebody needs help picking up a shift and you're available, try to help them out. Conversely, if you're on the floor, don't throw them under the bus. If somebody goes, yeah, that's a terrible call, and you're like, yeah, that was pretty shitty. No, that doesn't fly with me. You will sit for a while if you do that, and it's happened. So try to support your partner. As I always say, you can't misquote silence. So if somebody comes to you and they're mad about your partner, I didn't see the play, they had a different angle, or if you like their call, they had a pretty good call. If they didn't call it, I was going to. So try to support them. And always hustle. I know it's tough for indoor soccer because you move from about here to the wall, up and down the floor. But your movements need to be moved with a purpose. Sometimes you come off the wall, sometimes you move up the wall and down the wall. So that's the hustle that I want. Our schedule is on Do Sports Easy. So if you're already on payroll, you've done a little bit of Do Sports Easy, and I'll show a few more slides after this. If you're not on payroll, you got to get on payroll in order to be scheduled. That comes out every Friday for Monday through Sunday. Right now, indoor soccer looks like it's going to be played Monday to Thursday. We don't play Friday nights, and we don't play Saturdays. We do play some Sundays, so if you do have commitments on Sundays, make sure you keep those up to date. And we play during the week. We start earliest, 5:45 is when your shift will start. Game start at 6. I have you here 15 minutes early. So the game starts at 6 and 6:15, so we stagger just a little bit. And changes in availability need to be done by Monday at 5 for next week. So if we were working next week, today at 5 o'clock was when I want you to have them in. I typically make the schedule out on Thursday afternoon, makes any minor changes, and I publish it Thursday afternoon or Friday. So if there are any issues, I can take care of them then. So here's where the link can be found. If you go to our Campus Rec main page, this hasn't changed in about 3 years, so this still looks the same. There's this Do Sports Easy tab right here. That's how you can access it. So uncw.edu/campusrec. You go on that main page, it'll take you into a login screen. You have to fill this out. If you don't fill this out, I don't schedule you. I'm going to reiterate that one more time. If this isn't filled out, you don't get scheduled, you don't get paid. That's the very first screen that comes up for you as a new employee. So please fill that information out. So I did it for me. Then it comes into this kind of a look. Don't worry about anything over here because this is still our web page. But this is what you got to worry about. Under my shifts, it'll show you when you're working. So once I publish the schedule and you go on here, you can see exactly when you're going to work. Typically it's 2 to 3 hours a night. 2 to 3 times a week, depending the number of officials. Right now we've got 3, 6, 9, we have 13 people in here, plus a couple more. You get about 2 shifts a week. 2 to 3 shifts, depending how many people drop and how many people add. So this is about the number I wanted. So this is my availability. I clicked on my availability. You paint your availability in. You put that in. If you're not available, I'm not going to schedule you. We're running into a lot of issues with our basketball officials right now because they were unavailable because they're playing. That's fine. I will work around it. So if you play an intramural sport, put that day in here for that 1 hour. Or if you're on 2 teams, for that 2 hours. Because then I can schedule around that. If you know you have class until 6 o'clock each night, put that in there. I may not work you the 6 o'clock, but you may get the 6:15, or you may get the 8 to 11:15 shift. I will do that. So put in exactly what you cannot work. If your class ends at 5:45 and you can get here at 6, perfect. If you want time to eat, put your unavailable till 7, and you won't get scheduled. If you don't care and you can grab something on your way over here, put that time in. You can always look ahead. So if you have common chem tests, you have other teams that you're on, you have meetings that you got to put in here, put those out well in advance. So I don't schedule you. What I don't like is Thursday morning I come in, and what's your name?
Danny.
Danny goes, hey, I got a chem test tonight. It didn't surprise you, I can tell you that, because you've probably been studying. I have no sympathy for you. Hurricane Florence comes through and the whole schedule gets messed up. Professor then changes the schedule 3 weeks into the semester, and now you have a test. I have a little more sympathy for you. But make sure that you have those well in advance. Tests just don't come up. I've been through school a couple times. I promise you they don't. Here's how you do it. You just click and drag to the times you want. It says preferred or unavailable. I only want unavailable. I don't care if you prefer that time. Most people don't put it in there. So just unavailable from the date and time to date and time. So this is on the 15th from 8 a.m. to 7:30. You got a busy day going on that day. So that's how it would come in from this day all the way down, and from there all the way down. Again, this is back to shifts. I assigned myself a club training. That's how it looks. Everything you do for indoor soccer is down in the MAC gym. If you start at 5:45, you're on court 5. You start at 6, you're on court 6. So if you start on the top of the hour, you're on court 6. You start at the 45, you're going to be on court 5. But it should tell you here. This will tell you your job codes. Under my jobs, your rate and pay. As an official, you make $8.50 an hour when you're out on the floor. For training, which you'll get paid for tonight, is $7.25. Anytime we're in the classroom, you get $7.25. A lot of you going like, well, I'm not on payroll. Trust me, I will put training on the back side. So you'll see something come up in late March for an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending what we are here tonight. And I will put it in an email, this is our training. So you will get paid for this evening. or for some of you taking class, you will get class credit. So this, tomorrow night, and when you do practice games are all paid at the $7.25 rate. So you'll have sports official indoor soccer, and then competitive sports training are the 2 codes that you're going to get right away. And this is how you put on trade board. You basically click on your shift, it'll pop up, you click submit trade, and it'll go on the trade board for somebody else to pick up. I strongly suggest when you're trying to trade a shift that you send an email out to everybody, or if you have their phone numbers, text or call them. I was one, if I seen a blanketed email, somebody pick up my shift, I was like, yeah, I don't need it. Somebody personalized an email or text message or phone call to me, I usually picked it up. So it's however you want to work it. If you want more hours, go ahead and pick these shifts up. You have to email me who's picking up your shift. Myself or Danny. If I'm not in the office, you'll get an out-of-office reply, forward that on to Danny. Because if you don't, then I don't know who's working your shift. Because if Danny, in this case, sorry, Danny Turner works for us as well. I pick up Danny, or Danny picks up my shift, so I'm like, all right, he's got it. But I reply back, that's not acceptable, or he's unable to do it for whatever reason. Then I go, all right, it's back to Danny. Well, he doesn't know that. So what you do is you email me and CC the person that you're picking the shift up for. He's taking my Thursday shift from 7:45 to 11. I will reply both of you and say, got it, thanks. I'll make the changes. It's a simple, quick email, and then I'll show up here. Questions on that? I think my next one's going to be how to approve payroll here in just a second. This is just if you want to post it. And that's what trade board looks like. If it says in trade board, if it says status open, that means nobody's picked it up, and it is still your responsibility. Just because you put it on the trade board doesn't mean your shift is gone. You have to email me and say, hey, this person's picking up my shift. And if that doesn't happen, you're responsible for working that shift. All right. So we're going to go into how to approve payroll here in just a second. I'm trying to get all the housekeeping things out of the way. What you're going to see here is how to approve payroll. So if you currently work for me, zone out for the next 2.5 minutes. If you don't, pay attention because this is important. If you're in the class, you can zone out for the next 2.5 minutes as well.
Welcome to the UNCW payroll verification process. To log on, you will need to access your CNET account. You will need to click on the Secure Logon Faculty, Staff, and Student icon. Once the logon screen appears, you will enter your banner number or 850 number into the user ID section, and your PIN was given to you when you arrived at UNCW. If you forgot your PIN, click on the Please Go Here icon to retrieve your password. Once you log on, click on the Employee tab along the top of the page. On the next page, you will click on the Timesheet icon to pull up your timesheets. At this point, all of your job codes should show up on the screen. In order to approve your timesheets, you will need to click on the drop-down menu next to your job codes. You will have to select the month in which you work, meaning you'll have to select the previous month. Once the month you want is in the drop-down menu, click on the timesheet icon at the bottom of the page. All of your hours will be displayed under the total hours. You will also be able to scroll through each week to see if your hours are correct. If all your hours are correct, click on the Submit for Approval icon. Once you click on the Submit for Approval icon, you will need to re-enter your PIN to complete submitting your timesheet. You will once again need to go to the Employee tab at the top of the page and then go back to the timesheet icon to finish approving all your job codes. You will need to repeat this process for all job codes in which you have hours. If the drop-down tab shows not started, you do not have any hours under this job code, and you can move on to the next timesheet. You can start approving your timesheets on the first business day of the month after receiving an email from campusrec@uncw.edu or from your supervisor. This email will include all the information you need to know when approving payroll. You must complete the approval process by 3 p.m. of the third business day of the month. If you are having trouble approving your timesheets or have an error message, you need to contact the UNCW Campus Recreation Main Office immediately at 910-962-7443. If you believe you are missing hours, you need to contact your direct supervisor immediately. If you click the Enter Hours tab and submit hours without approval from your supervisor, you may be terminated. Once you're done approving your timesheets, you may log out and complete the payroll process. You will need to complete the payroll process each month you work. All checks will be deposited automatically on the 15th of each month, with the exception of your first check, which will be available at the cashier's office in the Woolworth Center on the 15th of that month. If you have any questions, please contact the Campus Recreation Main Office or your direct supervisor.
The biggest thing about payroll is, A, don't add hours, because that's my job. If you do that, you're falsifying a timesheet, and we can terminate you. I can tell you we haven't done that, but we don't want you to do that. The second thing is, don't start the wrong timesheet. So everybody that worked for me in February had to go and approve February. So when they click on that, they've got to go down to February, not March. If they start March's timesheet, once we start entering hours, it'll go to error. If you see an error message, you need to email Susan Smith right away, because we need to make sure your hours get put in. If you don't email her and those 2 days lapse, guess what? You're not getting paid for that month. It'll go to the next month. It's a lot tougher to do that, so catch that immediately. So when you see that email come out, you got to let us know. So some of our trainings, you'll see the Campus Rec. This is our web page. I will send this out tomorrow morning. This is where we put all of our material. The PowerPoint that we're going over tonight, the PowerPoints we're going over tomorrow will be there. I'm recording it tonight so people that aren't here can see it. If you're not able to make it tomorrow and you let me know that, we will put all that stuff on as well. So all this information goes on this website. It's a hidden link. You can't find it anywhere on our website because it's for your use only. We will send out weekly quizzes and updates every week, and then we'll have pre-shift meetings that will come out in video form each week as well. So the quizzes are in the Google Docs that come out. They should be up by 5 o'clock on Thursdays. Jonathan does all those, so he's on Wednesday, so he sends those out. They're a quick 5-minute refresher, 5 to 7 questions. We just ask that you take those to keep the education going. Bi-weekly meetings will happen every other Wednesday. Ignore the September 19th up here because, again, I stole that. The first one will be the 20th, so that Wednesday after we come back from spring break and we start stuff, we'll meet up here at 4:30. So we'll go over a few things. We'll have 4-on-4 flag officials with us as well, so I'll be doing indoor soccer and flag at the same time, but you'll come up here and you get paid for that hour. Occasionally I give away free stuff. You'll see some of our officials walking around with pullovers, book bags, shorts. I give a lot of that stuff away at the meetings. If you have class or anything during this time, if you don't make it, you don't make it. But if you're able to make it, go ahead and show up, and that's going to be March 20th. Again, we talked about your uniforms. Your yellows will be checked out from downstairs, and we'll show you where you do that outside the MAC gym. Your pants or shorts should be athletic and black. Any cargo, jeans, khakis are not acceptable, and form-fitting clothes is not acceptable either. So they have to be athletic wear, but unfortunately they cannot be form-fitting. And then shoes are required while you officiate. If you show up on something that's not what we want, we either send you home to get it changed quickly, or you won't work that night. So those are two options. And if you don't work, you're in trouble for that. Injuries. If you do have an injury on your court, you need to let a supervisor know. I know some of you may be in the nursing program or have a CPR and first aid certification. You are there to assist whatever my supervisor asks of you. So you cannot perform first aid, CPR, but you can go get stuff for them. If they are bleeding, have them stand in one spot, because what happens when you take a soccer ball to the face and I start bleeding and I have a pool of blood here, and then what's my first reaction to do? Start walking to where? Probably the bathroom is where most people are like, hey, I need to go get myself cleaned up. What happens when you have a drop of blood, drop of blood, drop of blood, all the way to the bathroom and in the sink? All my supervisors have to clean all that up before we can play again. So try to keep them in one spot, or take that jersey and just hold it right here, their shirt. We will clean our jerseys if we have to. So if they do get hit in the nose, we have to stop. Or if we have any blood, we have to stop play. Unfortunately, if somebody vomits, it's the same thing. And you're like, yeah, well, that's happened like 3 times this year. And we have to clean that up as well. So you don't have to touch it. So remember that. It's my supervisors. You just get to sit there and watch. And if you're squeamish about it, turn the other way so you don't have to see it. But any injuries we need to notify. If we do stop play, our supervisors in the score box will have a radio, and they will make the attention. Please stop the game while my supervisor runs from the check-in area across the court, because unlike basketball, we play the entire court here. In basketball, they have lines that it's defined by. So if they're coming in, stop the game for them so they can go attend to that injury. So I'm going to have you meet my supervisors before we go into the actual indoor. So Lily Camp is a junior that will come back next year. She did some basketball and flag football for us, I think primary flag football. Jed, he is graduating this year. He got caught off by the camera, so that's my fault, but I still put this picture up of him. He did primarily basketball for us. Sean is a flag football person. You'll see him probably supervising a lot. These two guys are graduating this year. OC, it's Octavio, not Octavio. I made that mistake for a year, and I got chastised for it in his training. So it's Octavio. He's coming back next year. You'll see more of him. Jessica Day is also coming back next year as a supervisor. Katie will be graduating. She did some indoor and some outdoor soccer, so you'll see her throughout. And Zoe will be graduating this year, but she's also one of our supervisors for this. Alyssa will be back next year. She is doing a lot of the sports for us. You will see her tomorrow night doing some training. Mr. Hyde is also back. He did some soccer and flag for us. And Dylan is one of your program assistants right here. You will see him tomorrow leading some of our training. Mr. Legank will graduate. He's primarily a basketball guy for us. Does do some soccer, so you will see him. Peter will be back next year. He did some basketball and I think a little bit of soccer. Same thing with Maddie. Those two will both be back next year, and they will help out with training. Allie is our marketing person right now. She does a lot of social media, so you'll see her out there taking pictures and posting to our Facebook page. Melissa was also a basketball official and I think some soccer, so you may see her out there. And Nick McIntosh was back as well, and he did some basketball and soccer. Zach Ormond was a basketball and flag guy for us. Sydney's our program assistant for the clubs, so you'll see her as a supervisor, but she primarily works with the clubs, getting their travel ready to go in the office. And Pat Riley is currently on IR, so you'll see him more in the box than you will see him supervising because of his limited ability right now. Mr. Rubin right here is your program assistant of officials development, so he is going to do training as well. I think he's going to be on the basketball floor for a little while tomorrow, then he'll come in. Sam Shoemate does some basketball for us, and Mr. Twigger does about every sport that we have. You'll see him playing more than you'll probably see him working. Questions? Do you need a 5-minute break? Because I got about an hour and a half left. I'm hoping to be a little less than an hour and a half. We're an hour and 15 minutes. All right, so our check-in procedures. So for us, you have to have your UNCW 1 card, no matter who you are, in order to play. So short of the chance of coming out and playing indoor soccer, you've got to have a 1 card. I say that because our Dean of Students plays intramural sports. He plays flag football. And so does Zach, and so does Danny, and occasionally I'll come out and play. But you need an ID in order to play. If they don't have an ID, they don't play. You don't have to worry about that because they're all checked in by our supervisors and our sport assistants. Check for jewelry. How many people work for me already for basketball or flag football? I'll have a couple more coming tomorrow. I'm notorious by I will come out there and I will see at least 1 piece of jewelry on each floor in each hour. So please check. Our supervisors are supposed to do it, but every once in a while there's somebody that gets by. And I say every once in a while, every night, somebody will get by. So please check for jewelry. It's a safety hazard because if you have earrings in and you get hit on the side of the head with a ball, guess what that back of that earring does? It goes into your head. If you're wearing a wristband and somebody gets caught up in there, you go that way, their finger goes that way, we break a finger. So that's why we say no jewelry. Illegal equipment, no hats or jewelry, must have closed-toed shoes. Can't play in sandals, can't play in Crocs. So we've got to have some sort of athletic shoe on. Most people will come in with the shoes that they were wearing, go play, and then walk right back on out. I don't like it, but that's what they're allowed to do. We will provide game balls. We will also provide balls to warm up with. So they're all in that storage area right outside the MAC gym. We have 3 balls that go out to each floor. 1's a game ball, 1 for each team. You keep the game ball. You shouldn't have to worry about anything else. Shin guards are recommended, but not required. So if they don't have them, no big deal. They don't have to be covered either. I say that because when I worked as a grad student, I watched 2 kids go shin to shin. One shin didn't stay connected to the other part of the shin, and it broke in half completely. It was not pretty. I don't play soccer much anymore. And they must wear athletic attire, and we talked about that already. So, before you start your game, you get to conduct a captain's meeting. Captain's meeting includes some of our special facility rules, such as what the markings on the floor mean, what soft surfaces mean, meaning if it hits a soft surface, it's out of play, or if it goes above the second teal line, it's out of play in the air, because we don't want them to play the ball into the lights. Because I don't know how many of you want to have a light dropped on you, but as soon as that happens, their game is over, because we can't ensure their safety. So we do that. We also look at the captains and we say, if you're the home team, the visiting team, I introduce myself, and then I put a 1 or 2 behind my back and let her see what I have. And I said, do you want 1 or 2?
1.
I always do 2. So if you ever have me out there, they get the choice of the side of the court or to kick off first. Typically, they're going to be like, we'll kick off first, and the other team, or kick off second, it doesn't matter. And the other team will just pick the side they're warming up with. Halftime, they switch, so they can make sure that they have the same side. Let them know it's 5-on-5, and one of which needs to be the goalkeeper. They need at least 4 to start the game. We'll talk about the co-rec differences here in a little bit. We'll talk about subbing. Subbing's on the fly, but the goalkeeper is subbed through you. So if they want to change their goalkeeper, they can't do it on the fly because they're wearing a different jersey, different color. We have 2 20-minute halves as our game with a 5-minute halftime, and the clock does not stop at all. Games go pretty quickly. We usually run pretty well on time, if not ahead of schedule, with indoor soccer. Overtime is a 3-minute sudden death, or golden goal. So if we score in the 3 minutes, game's over. If still tied, we'll have a 5-player shootout. Still tied after 5, we go 1v1, except in co-rec, we do a little bit different. The mercy rule is 20 with 5 and 10 with 2. You really won't see that much, but you will see that quite often. That happens more than you think. If you get to this, that's just an awful game, and they probably have 4 people that don't know how to play soccer. So that's our mercy rule. If our supervisors don't stop it with that, you have to. Because if somebody gets hurt, then we're liable, and we don't want that. So we want to make sure that if we do get to this, we do stop the game. All right, question. All right, this part of it goes a lot better when you interact with me because I like to stand here and stare at you. So when I say subbing on the fly, what do you think that means to you?
Subbing while the ball's still in play.
What?
Subbing in while the ball's still in play.
Subbing while the ball's still in play, right? Pretty simple. For us, that's exactly what it is. The only people that can't sub on the fly are the goalkeepers, like I just said. So for us, subbing on the fly is person opens the door, somebody comes off, somebody goes on. Inevitably, somebody will go on, take off running as somebody comes off. If they gain an advantage, it's illegal. You stop the play, put the ball the other way. Not many people know how to do it correctly, so that's what you'll see a lot of. If they don't gain an advantage, don't penalize them. If they gain an advantage, penalize them. Touch that on that in your captain's meeting so they know. If you're playing co-rec, male for a male, female for a female. Because then that keeps the gender balance equal. Because in co-rec, you need 2 males on the court and 2 females on the court. And the keeper can be of either gender. So it's 2 and 2 plus a keeper. So all doors must be shut. Watch as this play goes down here. This is why we say shut and locked. Watch this. Whoops. That's bad right there. Why do you think that is bad?
Somebody could get pushed through it.
Somebody gets pushed through it. Somebody catches the corner, splits a head. You'll see some plays where I'll show you where people get taken down. So those doors have to be shut and locked. There's 4 doors on each court. The main one which you enter, one that's on the complete opposite side that you can go out the emergency exit, and the 2 for the team boxes. Those need to be shut and latched. Our supervisors are usually down here on this end. We'll take care of that. And then you're responsible for the team boxes. Nobody should go out the other one because it's the emergency exit. Here's subbing on the fly, what it looks like and what it probably shouldn't be. So hopefully this plays again. So watch this. He's actually wearing the microphone. Comes in, goes out. No real advantage gained because they scored on this end. So that's what subbing on the fly looks like. Most of the time you won't even see it. But if his back is to it, this official has to get it. Here's another one. This one, there's a dead ball. You can see the hand up for the indirect kick. They sub, no big deal. They don't have to wait for that sub if they choose not to. So you can see both officials had their hand up for the indirect kick because all of our kicks are indirect unless they happen in a certain area. So we need to make sure we do that. Goalkeeper restrictions. What do you think some goalkeeper restrictions are? There's a couple of them.
Can't use your hands outside the box.
Can't use your hand outside the box. For us, the box is going to be a solid teal arced line, and I'll show you that on the floor. So that's the keeper box, if you will. What other restrictions do they have?
Hold the ball for a certain amount of time. 6 seconds.
6 seconds. Loose term for us. What else?
They can't slide.
Can't slide. They can dive, they can't slide, and there's a difference. Diving is to save a ball. Sliding or diving at a player is at least a yellow card, if not a red, if they make contact, and we'll talk about that. So they can't slide. And you might be like, why would you slide on hardwood? It happens. We had one that was notorious. He brought in the textbook or the Webster definition of what a slide was. I said, well, we're going to go by the Andy Ramp definition of a slide, and you slid. There's one more, or one that I consider one more. The goalkeeper's not allowed to punt the ball in indoor soccer, and they cannot throw it over midcourt without touching a surface or a player or an official before it goes across. So if they roll it across, that's fine. They throw it, it hits the wall and bounces across, that's fine. They throw it over in the air, it's dead, you bring it right back down, and the other team plays it. It's an indirect kick. Just one of the rules that we have for indoor soccer. We talked about the 6 seconds. The other one is they cannot pick the ball played by his or her teammate. So if I play it directly back to my goalkeeper, it's an indirect kick at that spot. So it's just like regular soccer. It's a handball by the goalkeeper, indirect kick. You'll see this happens every once in a great while, but that doesn't happen all too often. So here's the goalkeeper, throws it over, didn't hit him before, because if you look where he is, it's beyond. Had he been right here when he touched it, it would have been fine. It's just one of those that we got. This one, I believe she's going to dive right about, or slide right here. That's not illegal. One, it wasn't that malicious, and two, she was already on the ground before that player ever got there. So if they're on the ground before that happens, we go. But if this player was at full speed and she would take her legs out, that's a card. Minimum yellow, probably red. As I said, all free kicks are indirect kicks. So what does that mean when I say all free kicks are indirect kicks? What can't you do?
Can't shoot it straight in.
You can't score on a direct kick or an indirect kick. As officials, you should always have your hand up, both of you. This tells the players that they can't score directly on it. The only direct kick we have is a penalty kick, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But you put your hand up, they kick it, it touches somebody, some player, then you put your hand down. If it hits the padding or the wall, it hadn't touched somebody, so it can't go in the goal. So once it touches somebody, it's eligible to go in. Defensive players must be at least 10 feet, so about 3 steps from any kick that we have. So it's really from the edge of the table to about right here. That's not very far. So we've shortened it for indoor soccer. If somebody comes up and goes like this to the ball and just stands there, intentionally back him up. They repeat doing it, start giving out yellow cards. That's delaying the game. So back them up first. They want to keep doing it to keep delaying the game. Stop the clock, give them a yellow card. Because once they get their second yellow card, they got to go. So don't let them do that. Don't let them slow your game down. The penalty kick is played from a 3-foot line just in the penalty area, and I'll show you that in the dashed restricting line. It's right here. So here's the goalkeeper's arc. Right here. It's a solid teal line. This right here is your penalty kick line. The restraining line for a PK is this line. That's the only time it matters. So we take a P kick on your, or a penalty kick on your whistle here. And that keeper's got to stay on that line until the ball's kicked, in the imaginary fictitious line we have. If they come out, just like in outdoor soccer, if they come out, We can give them a warning. The second time, we're going to give them a card because they're not doing what they're supposed to. Questions on that? On free kicks? Free kicks come from these kinds of penalties. What you'll see most for is tripping, pushing, holding, or handball. Not too many obstruction calls, and anytime we have cards. You will see this quite a bit. So, somebody shoves somebody to gain an advantage. If they get knocked down, we got to call it. They have a handball, we've got to call it. We'll talk about an advantage versus disadvantage here, but I'm going to show you a lot of these plays that we have on video. So right here, he gained an advantage there. Watch this. Little forearm, little shoulder into the back. It's subtle, but as soon as he knocks this kid off and loses the ball, that's a penalty. That's a big call right here. Or it was just outside the box right there. We've got to get that one. That's a push. Here's a trip.
Oof.
He's like, shoot, my bad, man. He knew he did it. Let's see if I can pull these back up quickly. My computer's being slow today. So you see this? He tries to play the ball and he misses. It's a simple foul. If you deem that to be malicious or intentional, give him a card. More than likely it's not. But he knew it. Here's what I call a hip check or a push. Really, it's this guy that initiated contact. And that guy just helped him take the brunt of it. Pretty simple call. Typically, if you call it, they're going to put the ball down and they're going to play it right away. You don't have to do anything about it. If they want a whole explanation of it, you don't need to give it to them because you made the call. It's going to be quick and easy. Here's an obstruction call. He was unable to play the ball at the time. If you watch this, he pushes him out without being able to play the ball. And when I say being able to play the ball, it's within about a step. So if the ball is at that edge of the table and I'm blocking him out right here, I can't play that. That's too far. You could argue this is about as close as I could be, and that's a step. But if they do something like that, we've got to make this call. It's rarely called. Rarely called, but it happens all the time. You'll like this one. He's not happy. We'll show a later part of this play. Him and his teammate decided they didn't want to play indoor soccer for the rest of their college career because of this game. What do you think he's getting ready to do? What do you think my official's getting ready to do? See ya. He's gone on this play. There's no question that's a red card. You can see at the beginning of this play that he's not happy. He knows he's not happy. We talked. He's going to seek revenge. He knew that going into the play. The official did. I didn't see much there when I watched it. He swore there was a foul, and I'm like, 50-50 in my mind. And I'm probably letting that play. And he does what he did. I'll show you the rest of what he does and why he got ejected. So, when we talk about out of play, any soft surface, which is this divider, this net, the open area, the net on the other side, anything above this second teal line, or anything that hits up there, dead immediately. Not like we play out here in pickup, because a lot of times pickup, they just go. It hits here, it comes straight down. That's where you put the ball back in play. The rounded surfaces start right here and go all the way around. If there's a corner kick and it hits up here, the corner kick comes out to about the 28-foot mark, so it's about 3-point line extended. We don't put it down in the corner, we don't put it down right here, it comes out here. you have to bring them back out here, because if they kick something from like right here and it goes in after it's touched, somebody's going to complain because you didn't bring them back where they're supposed to. Over here there's a coach's tick, and we'll show you those tomorrow. Over here there's not. It's just about 3-point line extended. If there's a goal kick, it's got to be taken within the I'm not going to go back all the way. Basically, there's 2 lines that come out that meet the basketball baseline. So it comes out about right here, goes over, and goes back. It's got to be taken within that. Put the ball down, stop it, and play. If it hits any supporting structure up here, the goals will be raised. Don't worry, we'll raise those goals. It's got to be brought down. If a light does happen to fall, the game's over. Mark down where you are, who's got the ball, and we're done for the night, because we don't know if there's anything else that's going to fall from the ceiling, so we've got to shut that down. So if they're habitually trying to kick the ball up in there, remind them of our rules, and if they're just blatantly ignoring you, start giving out cards. It hasn't happened yet, but we've had some people that wanted to take, how hard can I kick the net up here to see if I can't bust out the scoreboard. That happened during free play. Those are expensive scoreboards. So I reminded them of their $10,000 price tag, and they have since quit. But we have nets that go all the way around here now, so this shouldn't be a problem. All right, so you'll see some out of play stuff here. So it hits a soft surface, basically because it changes its trajectory. That's why we have to call that out. See, it bounces, out of play, down and away we go. You can see they wasted no time by putting the ball down. Then whose it was, they went with it. If the wrong team puts it down, blow your whistle, tell them it's the other way. This one I think is too high. Yep. You see, it went above that teal line. So this is tough for her to call because she's like this. It's going to be the opposite official because they're looking straight across and up at a line. Over here on the blue, on the divider, it's a little bit tougher. You got to kind of gauge where it is. If it's out in the middle of the floor, either one of you can call it. But we just need to know how high it is. This one's tough because it barely touches. To me, I think yellow touches that out. That should have been a green ball right there. They're even saying that's ours. So if that happens, 1, the clock should be running, and 2, we need to make sure we go the right way. All right, slide tackling. You wouldn't think I need to cover this in indoor soccer, but yes, we need to cover this in indoor soccer. Who's played outdoor soccer for me? What's my rule for outdoor soccer?
Any sliding?
Any sliding is at least a what?
Yellow.
Yellow. What constitutes a red card?
Contact or from behind.
Contact or from behind. So if they slide and somebody jumps over and there's no contact, yellow card. They slide and they take somebody out, it's a red card. No questions. Give it to the supervisor, let them handle it. I would err on the side of yellow versus red. But if there's 2 people, or 1 person slides and 2 people end up on the ground rolling, we're probably going to have a red card. So, yellow card, anybody who slides without contact within the visual field. Outside the visual field or with contact is an automatic red. Goalkeeper has the same restrictions on the court. So just remember that. If he or she slides, it's a yellow or red card. They take player out, automatic red. So now you'll see Bash Brother number 2 here. He may have gotten concussed from that. He didn't care. He was like, no, I'm just playing soccer, man. That's not in our game at all. He's got to go. He chose this right there, let him choose to sit for the rest of his college career in indoor soccer, or in soccer in general for us. So something like that, I like that play because it has all the things that we need. So our play against the board. So if we had play against the board or against the wall, board, same thing. What don't you think you can do? Offense or defense?
can't like use it, right? And like use it as like and like hold the ball against it kind of.
So you can't support yourself against the wall. So if I'm trying to play the ball, I can't sit here and try to play the ball. Now you can have a feeler hand. So if you come up and you're like, all right, you get that feeler hand and then you go, no big deal. But if you use two hands to support yourself to basically box somebody out, that's illegal. That's obstruction in our book. What else can't you do? That's a good one.
Yeah, like hockey checks.
You cannot hockey check somebody into hockey grade board. That glass will not break. Promise you. The big pieces are 100 pounds. The smaller pieces are 80 pounds. I've moved that dasher board. It will not budge. It'll shake, but if they put somebody through it, somebody's going to the hospital. If they body check somebody, they're going, I need detail on that one. Same thing into a cement wall. They cannot check somebody into that wall. The last thing they can't do is take that ball and freeze it. Basically put their foot against it, support themselves so the ball doesn't move. Because what inevitably is going to happen if I do that and somebody's down 1 goal? They're going to come at you, they're going to try to kick it, they're going to try to kick you, they're going to try to push you, they're going to try to get you out of the way. We can't have that. So if I intentionally freeze a ball, can't happen. So, can't check somebody on the board. If it's done with it, if we're going and we're fighting for a ball and I happen to push you in, not intentionally, probably a yellow card. But if I do what that kid just did right there, absolutely 100% a red. I take a shoulder and I lower and put you into it, red card. And I need to know that because they're going to sit for a while. That's not part of our game. So, you can see this play against the board is more, he's playing on the ground at this point in time. So we got nothing, he tries to ride him out, and as soon as he goes down, that's where it becomes the illegal act. Because 1, he's playing the ball on the ground, and 2, he puts himself in a compromising position. So when we have play on the boards, our official right here should be down just a little bit to see it, and then we've got a view here down this sideline. We need to see these plays. You'll see a lot more of this. I don't know if I have an issue with what happened here. And I watch this more and more of this for training. You may have called it on yellow, but they're playing the ball. And you could call for him if he boxes this kid out, that's probably where you'd have it. So, and you got to be mindful, if you call that, that's right about there in the penalty area. So we'd be putting somebody at the PK line. Watch the movement of the official there. She does a pretty good job of getting out of the way. She's in the mix of it. We'll talk about officials' movement here in a little bit. I don't want you stuck to the boards. And no, please don't use the boards to leverage yourself up like in hockey. We don't do that. We'll come out onto the floor like she did to get out of the way. And I'll show you how one of our officials does it here in just a little bit. Administering cards. We talked about yellow card, red card. How many of you played soccer? Well, a lot of you played soccer. What happens when you get a yellow card? What was your thought when you got a yellow card? You got a yellow card, okay. No big deal, right? What does that tell you when you get a yellow card? There's the line, right? I've towed the line. The official says that's enough. So now I need to take a little bit of a step back, and that's where I'm going to continue playing. So remember that as officials. That as a player, you're like, I can toe the line. That's where it is. Now I got to back it off a little bit. So when you administer cards, how do you think you should administer cards? What if I put that card in your face? What would you do to me?
Nothing.
What would you like to do to me if I put a card right in your face?
In indoor soccer?
Yeah.
Nothing.
You wouldn't want to try to take it from me, knock me out?
No.
Man, you're a really nice guy.
I mean, you're just out there to play for fun.
They are, but they take it a lot more serious. You seen Bash Brother 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Don't ever put the card in their face. So, do me a favor and stand up. Come here, I need to do this a little more on video so I can show you. All right, so I got the card in my pocket, yellow card, red card, because that's how I officiate. Because I give out more yellows than I do red. dominant right hand. So if I give a card and I'm like, poof, right here, what does that look like? That's pretty disgraceful in my mind. Anybody ever had that happen? I've seen people go, take it. You don't want that to happen. Also, what am I also in the proximity of? I'm not saying that happens, and I'm not saying you're going to do it either. But I'm in the proximity of his hand. So, if, boop, red 22, there's your yellow card. And then I got to go tell the scorekeeper, thank you for doing that. I got to go tell the scorekeeper that we have a card. It's pretty clear as day if I go like that. But if I, blue, 13, yellow, he knows it. We go on. If we have an ejection, that's when we got to stop the game. Yellow cards, we don't stop the game. For the love of God, don't put it in somebody's face. Because A, they could take it and not give it back to you. Now you got to just administer red cards, which you probably do on that one. Or you're right here to take some heat. I hope that I get to play on your team because you're going to be the nicest guy out there. We'll talk about conflict management in a little bit. But you put yourself too close to a player, that's a problem. So never administer cards in their face. Just like I say, don't give technical fouls in their face or throw an unsportsmanlike up in their face in football. Give yourself a little bit of distance. Because when they have to take a step or two to come at you, who's the instigator? That person, right? If you start going at them like this, you're the instigator. But you hold it right here and you walk away, now they got to come at you. And now it looks bad for them when they come at you. And as you can see, I get a lot of video. So when I can show who instigated what, it's pretty easy. So if we do have an ejection, you've got to fill out some paperwork. Why were they ejected? Slide with contact from the front is pretty easy. I want a little bit more detail, but that's pretty easy. So all right, here's your play. He is gunning for this kid. As you can see, he gives a card from, look who comes to him. Now he's like, hey, I was pushed. That's what he flopped. I'm telling you, you're wrong, man. He got ejected later in the game. But you see how close he is to these two guys. That's not good. Partner here should hopefully be taking them away, or in this case, going to the table. If you walk towards the table, they're going to follow you. Guess what? As soon as you walk towards the table and they're following you, that's 5 steps closer that they have to pack their bag and get out of here. Because now you can be like, you need to talk to my supervisor who's right there. So I'll continue this through. This was probably one of the worst ejections I've had in indoor soccer. Because this guy thought he did nothing wrong. And then he does this. I showed him this video and I was like, you acted a fool out here and you showed your butt. You ain't playing again. Said the same thing to him. So he does a pretty good job by giving the card way out here. Everybody in the gym knows who's getting the card. Just put it out there. Who can explain advantage versus disadvantage? It's the same as outdoors as it is in indoor, I'll promise you that.
When somebody's fouled, but they have a shot at you.
So you acknowledge there's a foul, but I play through said contact, and I've got an advantage to either play up the floor or score. How would you acknowledge that you saw that as an official? And? Play. You want to verbalize it, because if you're back here and you're just like this, I'm going to be looking around going, where's that whistle? Play. That tells the players that you saw it and that there's an advantage. Give it a second or two to develop. Because if I take a step or two and I stumble and I'm like, all right, I regain my footing and I go, and then you blow it dead and it's me and the goalkeeper, how mad am I going to be? Pretty ticked. But if I stumble, take 2 or 3 steps, defensive player gets back up to me, call the advantage. You can do this and retroactively go back a couple seconds. Now I'm not saying they take a shot on goal and he shoots it way up into the rafters. You're like, advantage. We're going to play that back over here. That doesn't happen. They get a shot off after you play an advantage. It's what happens. If they want to argue with you and say, I played the advantage, in my judgment, you had the advantage. If there's a slide involved in an advantage play, slide contact, I jump over the kid, and that's me and the keeper. I know the kid on the ground is getting a card at some point in time. If I shoot and miss and it goes out of play, or I score, or the goalkeeper gets it, we have a law in the action. I'll kill the play, give that kid a card, and put the ball back in play where it is. It's as simple as that. If it's a red card where I get taken out, my teammates on one-on-one, I know that kid's getting a red card. I'm just going to let it play and then score, and then I'm going to kick the kid out. I don't want to stop that action. I want to remember that this kid's getting a card one way or another. So if we do have advantage versus disadvantage, and that goes for the play against the board, we want to let it play to see if we can get that, and then we'll go back and give the card. Questions about that? Co-rec differences. So we're getting into the co-rec differences now. We'll get into some handling conflicts as well as positioning. So hopefully we'll be out of here in the next less than 45 minutes. And I said less than a half hour because I want to get home. So 5-on-5, 2 males, 2 females, the goalkeepers of either gender. Minimum of 2 of either gender. So if they play with 4, which is our minimum, it's 2 and 2. They can't have 3 and 1. They can't have 4 and 1. So max of 3 of one gender, minimum of 2 of the other. So that's the toughest part here. Substitutions are for the same gender, like we said. Penalty kicks must be taken by the person of the gender who is fouled. So if Danny was fouled, but he stinks at kicking penalty kicks, I'll come in and I can do it for him. No big deal. What's your name?
Maria.
Maria gets fouled.
Natalie.
Natalie can take that kick for her. I cannot take it for Maria. That just can't happen. The sub for the goalkeeper can be either one. So if somebody's a stud keeper and they get there late and they come in, that's fine. We can have the keeper can be of either gender, as long as we maintain that ratio. If we do go into PKs, so we go into overtime, we're still tied at the end of 3 minutes, we go into PKs. Your team chooses 5, this team chooses 5. 3 males, 2 females, or 3 females and 2 males, depending how they want to do it, but they alternate gender. So whoever's got the greater number, the first of that gender kicks. And then opposite, if we tied at the end of 5, they pick a new 5. Because what we can't do is, you have 2 females and they have 8 females. We can't be like, well, you 2 are going to keep kicking and we're just going to go down the line over here. We can't do that. So we pick 5 new kickers. It can be the same or it could be different. But that gender ratio has to stay the same. So if you do males first, you have 3 males and then 2 females, and you're like, well, Johnny stunk at kicking, now we want somebody else to kick, you can go ahead and have 3 females kick. So just remember that when we go to overtime. It's happened like 3 times in the time that I've been here, and I've been here 7 years, and that's for indoor or outdoor soccer. So it's been a while since we've gone to extra PKs in soccer. All right, so handling conflict. As you can see, we had one of our game effer-uppers, as I will call them, or 2 of them. But how you handle yourself in conflict is going to dictate how your game's going to go. So when you do that, when you handle conflict, know what the person is mad about. If they're mad because they think you missed a call, that's one thing. If they're mad because they think you're a horrible individual, that's another. So if they're mad and they're asking you questions, if they're asking questions, that's a good thing. What happened on that play? I thought I got fouled. What'd you see? Probably ain't going to happen very often in soccer, but it could. You suck as an official is different than that sucks. You suck is personal. That sucks as a call sucks. So if they attack you personally, you're horrible. See ya. You didn't have to say anything. You're gone.
Is it red?
What?
A red card?
Absolutely. If they tell you you're horrible as an official, gone. That doesn't belong in the intramural sports game. They're going when I work high school, work college basketball. They're going if they tell me I suck. They drop some magic words. The F-bomb, that's audible for everybody to hear. GD, a few other words that we probably shouldn't say. They're gone. No questions. That's shitty. Probably not. Probably maybe a yellow card. You're shitty, they're going to go. But know what they said and in the context they say it. Because if they're mad about a call, they'll probably get over it. The example I use that I think works perfectly in this is I missed a call when I was refereeing basketball, when I was an undergrad. Kid goes up, gets it right here, puts it down the kid's throat, and I put air in my whistle and I call a foul. Went like that, I sold the crap out of it. This kid is on my butt from the time I go from here to the table to report the foul. I knew the kid. I'd worked enough of his games, I knew who he was. He came up to me, and all I did is I turned around and said, I missed it. He didn't say another word to me. I said, I missed it. He just looked at me and said, okay, and walked away. It doesn't always work that way. But if you have the ability to sit there and go, I missed the call, I will work harder to make sure I don't do it again. Don't be like, I missed it, I'll make it up to you. Now I'm going to cheat. I missed it, I'm going to work hard for you. I use that line all the time when I work. I did it Saturday night when I went up to Raleigh to work. I missed that, coach, I'll get the next one. Not I will make it up to you, it's I'll get the next one. To make sure that they know that I'm working hard for them. How you interact with your peers is a lot different. It's a lot tougher. So you need to make sure you need to know what they're mad about. If they're coming to you with information, listen. If they're saying watch the push on yellow 12, what are they telling you? Somebody out there's fouling. So that's a key place to look. Hey, watch for this, watch for this, watch for this. I got you, I'm listening to you. I'll talk to my partner about it. If they come up and say, your partner sucks, or your partner missed that call, don't be like, yeah, I know, he's horrible. Don't do that. Because if it gets back to me, you won't work for me much longer. But if you can support your partner, I had the same call. If he didn't call it, I was getting it. Or they had a pretty good angle on it, I think they had the right call. If you disagree with it, it's different. I was looking at this matchup, he or she had a different look at it. But don't ever say, yeah, they missed the call. It looks really bad as a crew. So that's the biggest thing. When we have it, I have a 5-step process. Doesn't always work this way, but sometimes it'll be effective. If somebody drops a not so magic word, that's not quite one of the magic words we had, they drop shit, and you can get to them. Or they're frustrated about, they think they should have gotten a call. If you can get to them, you can talk to them. Hey, watch the language for me. Hey, I know you thought it was foul, this is what I had. It can be quick. Nobody else needs to know we had this conversation. Sometimes it'll help. Find your ally on the court. If I know you're the captain and you're my level-headed guy in the room, hey, tell number 12 to watch this language. Help me out with it. Sometimes you can just turn around and tell the bench. Usually it'd be like, hey dude, shut the F up. And you're like, but we wanted to see if we can find that ally. The second one's a public warning. They're getting outrageous. Hey, I've heard enough. Now they know that I've heard you. What I don't want to do is say, another word and you're gone. Because what's going to happen? They're going to say word, right? Guess what you got to do? You got to be a person of your word and you got to throw them out. Because if you don't, then you're not building any credibility. I've heard enough. We're done with this conversation. And they want to keep going, then you start giving out cards. The captain's meeting is only used for physical play. If it's getting too physical, too chippy, and you need to bring them together. And you've got to do this early. Because if you do this with about 3 minutes left in the game, guess what's going to happen? They ain't going to give a crap. This happened when I was in grad school. The people I played basketball with weren't so nice. And we taught everybody how to officiate. And then we played and then told them what they did wrong as we officiated. So we weren't so nice. But what they did, they got us together with 3 minutes to play. Hey, we tell your teams that you talk to your team and you talk to your team because we're going to have to start giving out technicals. You're way too dang late at that point in time. You do this early, within the first half. You got to do it in the second half, guess what? You start giving cards. You skip this step. Yeah, give out yellow cards. Usually I have technical fouls or unsportsmanlike conduct up there. So I got the right stuff up there. Give out yellow cards, give out red cards. You don't always have to follow that process. Don't be up to like, well, he really said the F-bomb, so I got to give him a quiet word. He does it again, I got to give him a public warning. He does it again, I got to give him the captain's meeting. No, you can skip a lot of these processes. But if you can get away with going through a couple of these, that's great. Try to nip it as quickly as you can. If you can feel the temperature of the game rising, go with the captain's meeting. You do the public warning. Give out a yellow card. It'll bring some of that down. If you're working Greek night here, God love my Greeks, I promise you I do, because you're a lot of our participation. They bring a lot of fans. and they say a lot of stuff, and some of them don't like each other. Whereas you have two intramural sport men's teams that don't know each other, they could probably care less about each other. But Greeks, that brings up your level just a little bit. So be prepared for those nights. Like I said, don't make threats, because you got to follow through with them. I say draw your line in concrete, not sand. Don't let them erase your line. So you draw it there, and if it violates what you just drew, yellow card, red card. Pretty simple. Sportsmanship rating for us is a 1 to 5 scale. 5s being perfect little angels, 1s being the devils. We typically fall between a 3 and a 4. Mostly 4s. We don't give out a whole lot of 5s because at some point somebody can say something. But if they're good, give them 5s. They're not so good, and you give a 3. Okay. 2s or 1s, somebody either better been ejected, or you're writing up a report. Meaning you gave out a yellow card, yellow card, yellow card, yellow card, yellow card, yellow card. And I need to know that. If you ever give out a 2, you go up to the sport assistant, you say, that team deserves a 2. The first thing they should be doing is getting up Connect 2 and saying, put your information in here, we need to write it up. Just like if somebody got ejected, they're going to give you the iPad and say, put your account of it in here, because I get those reports. And then I have to go meet with either the captain or the player of why that happened. So if you're going to give a 2, we better have at least 1 report on that game. If it's multiple people, it's a report for each person that got ejected. So just remember that. So we should barely be here. Usually we're right about here. But every once in a while they need this. If you're in playoffs and that team is at a 2 sportsmanship rating because you've ejected 3 players, the game's over. They need to maintain a 3.0 to continue on. If they can't, they told us they don't know how to play intramural sports, and we will end that game. Questions? We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. We'll actually probably have you out here in the next 15 minutes or so. So 2-person mechanics. You have a lead and a trail. You say you're on opposite ends of the court. The lead is the person ahead of the ball, the trail is the person behind it. It goes the other way, you flip what denotion you are. So if it flips, lead's over there, trail, or lead and trail. It's pretty simple with soccer. So this is what I made up for when we did outdoor soccer. Pretend the walls are rounded and the lines are different. So the lead, if the kickoff, if we're going this way, so we're coming towards me for the kickoff, A, the kickoff has to go backwards in indoor soccer. And 2, that becomes your lead, your trail blows the whistle. All kickoffs start with a whistle. They don't get to play on their own. It's all on you. So the trail blows it. So if we'd go this way, we'd slide up a little bit, the trail would be here, the lead would be here. Kind of areas of coverage. Sometimes you get the gray areas, which is right here, when we have certain things. We will show you all of this when you go through practice games. You'll have somebody shadowing you. So as you can see this is a corner kick. The lead, I want you to be in front of the ball. Be aware that it may come at you, but know that the trail is going to come down and help you if we have anything in the box, or the arc in this case. Penalty kicks, the lead's going to be right on the line, the trail's going to be watching everybody outside. It's keeper, are you ready? And then it's a play on your whistle. And remember, a penalty kick is one continuous motion. They cannot stop. If they stop, we go the other way, which typically doesn't happen. And we make sure that keeper stays on that line until the ball is kicked. Because if they start running out to cut that angle off, that's creating a huge advantage for them. So we need to make sure that they stay on that line. If they do it the first time, put them back, remind them. They do it the second time, give them a yellow card. They do it a third time, they need a new goalkeeper because that person's going to be walking out of here. Throw-ins, remember these are kicks, not throw-ins, but they're considered throw-ins for us. Right here, we want to stay behind the play, stay ahead of the play. If that ball happens to be here, it's a little tough, but we want to try to box this play in as much as we can. Here's just some movement. You'll see the ball goes up, gets turned around, and away we go. Typically, we won't go this far down the floor. We typically stop at the curve. So if you feel the curve or you're along the wall and you see the curve, that's where you stop. Don't go any further down because then you're going to start getting in play, especially in that corner. So here's some movement. You'll see Jake, our official right here. He's going to come off the wall. He was one of the best officials we had for soccer. He does a good job by following the play. He is mic'd up in this. He could have been a little louder. but he reads this ball. He's off the wall. You can see other officials here watching as well. She sees all these players. He's got these players. People like when he worked because he knew a lot of the game. So what he didn't do is get over here and push himself up. That's not what I want you to do. Or over here, I don't want you to push yourself up. Because what's going to happen if you push yourself up? Put yourself on those boards. They could run into you, you get kicked. Stuff like that. Or something like this may happen. Like this official. Doesn't move. So if this plays over again, he is in the way. So what you need to do here is come out a little bit so you can move either way. So if you're on this line as they're coming at you, you now can step in or step against the wall. You have options. Don't worry about what's happening behind you because that's what you got a partner for. He's actually supposed to be right here. She's running the length of this floor and he's not. So he just stood there. So please don't be like this official. This is probably 4 years ago, so that's why I put this up here. Get the heck out of the way. If it hits you, it's a play on as wherever it is. You're part of the floor. But I want you to try to get out of the way. Questions? I know that was a lot of information that we covered in short of an hour and a half. Typically, I go about an hour, or I go about 2:15 in this. Tomorrow we will be downstairs in the MAC gym. That's where we will start. We will come back up here. If you have a smart device, we will take the test in the crews that you're in. We'll add a few people. So there's a 20 to 25 question test that you need to take in order to work for us. You need to get at least an 80%. All the information will be covered again in the Jeopardy PowerPoint that we have tomorrow. And it was all covered tonight. And then some of it will be covered tomorrow night. You will get your whistle tomorrow night. So dress comfortably so you can move a little bit. And then you'll be responsible to hang on to that whistle the rest of the time. And that, I will not be here tomorrow night. I have a ball game I got to go to. It'll be Danny, Dylan, Alyssa, and Jonathan that'll lead you through it. But if you have a smart device, bring that because that's how we'll take the test. All right. Have a good evening. Thank you.